All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Sabrina. I'm the Section H6 chair. So it's going to say Brittany for my name because I'm using the region account, but please just know this is actually Sabrina. Um, but I will also be around to answer any questions as well. So today we're going to talk a little bit about volunteer opportunities and becoming a volunteer, an alumni volunteer with Alpha Phi Omega, what that means. So I appreciate all of you alumni that are on the call because I'm going to utilize you guys as well to kind of help um, share your experiences with the students so that way they kind of get to see different perspectives than just mine as well. So there's your forewarning. All right, so there are tons of different ways to get involved as an alumni. I'm going to go through all of those in depth first. So the first way to be involved as an alumni is an advisor. It's probably the one thing that most people recognize first as the alumni involvement. So an advisor is somebody who works very, very closely with the students. Each chapter is required to have at least 4 advisors. That is 2 faculty advisors, 1 scouting and youth service advisor, and 1 community advisor. So the faculty advisors are not required to be brothers of Alpha Phi Omega by any means, but a lot of times throughout serving as an advisor for the chapter, they will get to know a lot about the fraternity. So ultimately, these 4 advisors, or hopefully more, if your chapter has more, work really closely together to provide all of the services and knowledge they have to the brothers of the chapter to help that chapter function smoothly. So advisors serve a yearly term voted on by the chapter. The majority of the time, an advisor will serve over a longer period of time, but majority of chapters have something in their bylaws that state that they get to vote on the advisors every year. So that's just kind of how their term is set. They definitely have the most contact with the students of all the alumni positions that there are out there to volunteer with because you get to work with them on a weekly basis. So an advisor, one of their most important roles is to offer support and guidance to the executive board. They get to serve as a voice of reason and help them realize when potential problems could arise within the chapter. So you're there more as a resource for them versus having versus solving the problems for them, but they always need those resources available. You're also there to help them meet deadlines. So we all know like there's a few deadlines coming up in just a week. The advisors really often have to stay on students to help make sure that they reach those deadlines and get all their forms submitted on time. They can also help the students with networking, connecting with organizations in the community or other chapters as well. Often we might know a community a little bit better than the students do. So that would be a great way to help them kind of get involved more in the community. And it is noted that it's not recommended for advisor to advise a chapter you graduated from in the last few years. Typically, we like advisors to or students to wait a few years outside of graduation to advise the same chapter they were in, just to make sure that you're not too close in running what the student should be running instead. So that's not to say you can't be an advisor right out of graduation, but we would ask you to advise at a different chapter for a couple of years. And then if you wanted to advise at your alumni college, you could go back there after a couple of years. That's not to say that there haven't been alumni that have volunteered as an advisor right off the bat. But again, it's just not recommended to make sure you can kind of separate yourself from being a student and being an advisor. Do I have any advisors or previous advisors on the call that would be willing to share their experiences as an advisor and why they've stayed as an advisor? You can just unmute yourself.
Hello there. I'm Sean Ashley. I'm an advisor at the Theta Upsilon chapter at Case Western, actually chapter I actually graduated from. Let's see. I tend to just point out a
If you don't
lot
feel comfortable
of.
talking and you want to throw it in the chat, you can also throw it in the chat. just as an explanation of kind of what your experiences are as an advisor, what your favorite memory is from being an advisor.
I just try to be the voice of reason, keep the students thinking
All
about
right.
all options.
So another way to volunteer is as a sponsor, or more recently named an extension coach. So many of you guys are familiar with the term sponsor, but you will soon see it primarily as extension coach. This is a volunteer who works with a chapter through the extension process, usually from start to finish. So it is a very long process depending on the chapter. Typically, you would serve throughout the entire process, and then often those extension coaches choose to be an advisor after, because you've made those connections with the students, and they would have all of the same roles as an advisor would. They are still very similar to an advisor in terms of the extension process. The only difference is that there's a lot more paperwork that needs done during the extension process. So it's definitely a lot more work of making sure all the forms get submitted properly and everything gets put in um, to the national office properly, so that the students can get their recognition and get to that charting process as fast as possible. Do I have any extension coaches on the call? I know that's a little bit harder to find, um, or anybody who has worked with extension groups in the past. No, okay, that's sometimes harder to find. It is honestly like a really great opportunity for students who really want to help get a chapter going. As a student, I was actually part of a petitioning group, so I understand how difficult the process is, and definitely really leaned on my extension coaches throughout that process. And I think it helped create even stronger bonds going through this process together. So it is definitely a great way to be a mentor for students and really get to work closely with them. All right, so the next volunteer opportunity is as section staff. So section staffs vary based on location. So some sections don't even have a section staff. Every section has a section chair, and then that chair often gets to choose what other positions get filled based on the volunteers that are available in that section. So some of the most common positions you can see available on a section staff are membership chair, service chair, leadership chair, finance chair, fellowship chair, communications chair, conference chair, events chair, and that's just to name a few. Again, it kind of varies based on section. So section staff typically serve a yearly term. So every spring at sectional conferences, a section chair is voted on by the students, and then that section chair gets to appoint their staff um, based on what position they may feel that they're best at, or what that staff wants to be involved with. So these positions are always changing, and there really is always room for adaptation to them. So if you want to be on a section staff and they maybe don't have the position that you wanted to serve with, I guarantee pretty much any section chair would make room for you and whatever you feel like you want to serve as. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to a section staff, even if it's something unique, and be like, hey, I really want to work with finding Boy Scouts in the community. Could you put me on a section staff in a role that would work with that? And they would definitely work with you for that. So a section staff typically promotes interchapter relations through events and helping plan sectional conferences. So they help facilitate chapter administration and leadership training. We talk a lot with the advisors to make sure forms are getting submitted on time, and that chapters are running smoothly, and see if we ever need to get involved or help out with anything. We also help with the extension process when there are chapters in our section that are looking to startup, and we do help with facilitating the risk management issues. So typically, if there's a risk management issue at any chapter, that would go straight to the section chair, who would then work with the region chair to come up with a solution or possibly take it to the national office when needed. Um, Ultimately, we're there to serve as a resource for both the advisors and the students, help make sure the chapters are functioning properly, and help give those resources to help connect them with other chapters and make sure, we're one big united family. Do I have any section staff members on the call that would be willing to share their experiences and what they've learned through being a member of section staff? Again, you can throw it in the chat too, so that those students can see kind of what your experiences are. All right, the next opportunity for volunteering is as region staff. So there are several regions, um, all of which have a region staff available. This is what is on our region staff for Region H specifically. It's probably very similar in all of the region staffs, but again, they could vary a little bit. A region chair, a region information officer, an events chair, a marketing chair, an advisor development chair, an alumni relations chair, membership chair, extension chair, finance chair, and awards chair are the chairs that are on the Region H staff. So the region chair serves a 2-year term that is elected by the students at the national convention. So for example, this year, Brittany will be up for reelection again in December at the national convention, even though it's virtual. And then the region chair also gets to appoint the staff for the region. They would typically serve that 2-year term with her. But again, it is ever changing to try and make sure we are best taking care of the students and making sure all the roles are filled as well. So the region staff also continues to work on promoting interchapter relations through events for the region and region conferences. I know they've done a lot to try and make sure we're hosting online and virtual events for all the students this year. So it's definitely been a lot of work for them to make sure we're doing all of that stuff. They also serve as a communication liaison between the national office and the sections. So we get a lot of information from the national office that gets passed down to the students through the region staff. They also help with facilitating risk management issues, depending on what that might be, and serve as a huge resource for our section staff and advisors. A lot of what the region staff do, I don't think that they get enough credit for. They do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make sure everything is functioning smoothly in our region and that we all have the resources we need. So they definitely do a lot of work behind the scenes that many of us don't get to see. And I really appreciate them for all of their work that they do. Do I have anybody on the region staff that would like to share their experiences or what their favorite memory is of being on region staff?
I'm Deirdre, the finance chair. I've only been on region staff for a few months, so I haven't really experienced too much of it yet, but I'm excited for what we've got going on. And this is kind of the perfect blend of my APO passion and my professional passion. So so far it's been pretty cool.
Can anyone hear Deidre? It looks like she's trying to talk, but I can't hear her talking. Oh, okay. Sorry, I must not be able to hear you guys when you're talking. Okay. Well, then I apologize if I've cut anybody else off who has been talking. Thank you, Deidre, for sharing your experiences. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk a little bit about presenting. This is something that was kind of touched on a little bit in the last presentation. So there are tons of ways to be a presenter. The official presentation guide that the national office does is for leads training. So to be a leads presenter, you have to go through something called basic skills training. That involves 2 different things, a webinar and then a practical course to make sure you can help teach it. This basic skills training is honestly a great resource for anybody who wants to learn presentation skills. It doesn't have to be just for a leads course to take it. You have to take it in order to go through leads training. But again, if you just want to work on your presentation skills to be a presenter at a conference or to do webinars like this or anything, this basic skills training would be a great resource for that. If you have to present a lot for work now on a computer, this would actually probably be a great resource for you to get more comfortable with presenting. And then if you do want to be a leads presenter, you would then choose a leads course that you would want to go through the training on to be a presenter. You have to have completed that leads course already, either as a student or as an alumni, with the exception of SERVE. If you haven't attended SERVE, you can still be a presenter for SERVE. That also will have a second like webinar and practical course that you would complete for that specific leads course. And then the practical course for this would be presenting that, whatever that leads program is, and making sure you can adequately present it. And then you would be a certified leads presenter. The national office and fraternity as a whole is always looking for more leads presenters. So it is a great way to get involved and definitely help the students out. And then we're also always looking for like just regular presenters to do webinars like this for the students or for conferences. So if you're super passionate about something, whether that is like membership-based things, or maybe you're super passionate about service opportunities or want to present a service opportunity or anything like that, please reach out to a section chair or region chair or anybody on staff to get involved. We're always looking for conference presenters, and it's a great way to share your own ideas and get that out there for the students. So definitely that's really open to anybody, whether you're an alumni or a student or anything. We're always looking for presenters. So please reach out to us if you are interested. Do I have any leads presenters on here? Because I am not a leads presenter. Okay, yeah, so if you're interested in being that, I do foresee more basic skills trainings coming out here soon. If you don't ever see them on the national calendar for that, there's also just somebody you can email to get the information and just request that they do a basic skills presenting, and they can go through that. So Evan, did you think it was pretty easy to get a hold of, like, to go through the basic skills training?
Most definitely. It was a really straightforward experience, pretty easy to do. And if you already have speaking experience, it's something that you should be able to do relatively easy if you already have any past background speaking experience. I'm not sure if you heard me. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you this time. I don't know why my
Perfect.
computer wasn't letting me hear other people earlier.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, honestly, basic skills, I believe many of you probably have them, but it's something that you want to do as a foundational thing. You'll get some good feedback on things you can do better. And then when you come back and you start to do like the content trainings, it really gives you a good foundation of what you need to be doing as you're doing and preparing for the content training. So then the content trainings are a lot more specific and focused in the training content that you're going to be delivering. So you have to actually present one in front of someone else to show that you have the skill set to do a launch course or a discover course or whatever you're doing content training for.
Yeah, and it definitely like would help you in your everyday life too. Like I said, if you have to present for work or anything, it's just going to make you a lot more comfortable in that role as a presenter. Okay. So next is alumni associations. These are a really simple way to get involved. It just is a way for you to get to know other alumni and live out our cardinal principles as an alumni. So the national office has 45 alumni associations recognized. I believe only about half of these are actually active alumni associations. The only one in our region actually is the Central Ohio Alumni Association. And the alumni associations definitely vary in their amount of activities and events that they do. So like I know that there's one in DC that I feel like is almost hosting weekly events. But they're definitely a great way to get involved with other alumni and to continue to get to meet various alumni in a new region. And then if you wanted to, yes, there is one in Kentucky as well, the Bluegrass Alumni Association over in Kentucky. If you want to start an alumni association, it's actually a super easy process. I know that they were looking at this for a while for Indiana, but I don't think that they ever ended up getting going through the process of submitting for the right to be an alumni association. So it's just an application that you submit to the national office with a roster of at least 5 members. You have to have a bylaws, and then you have to apply for an employee identification number. So you employer identification number. So you would have to go through those 3 steps and then submit that application to the national office. It's a really short application. So it's a pretty simple process if you are looking to start an alumni association wherever you move. There is no rules on how many there can be in a certain area. So, you know, if you wanted to start one in Dayton, just because there's one in Central Ohio, that's totally fine too. So it's definitely a great process if you move somewhere and you're like, huh, there's nowhere for me to like get connected with other alumni here. Definitely start an alumni association and go through that process. It's outlined on apo.org. So I was actually really surprised at how simple that process was. Evan, are you like involved with the alumni association for the Bluegrass in
I
Kentucky?
am. Yeah, we're actually having an event this evening at 5 o'clock for our, it's basically our banquet. We're doing it virtual this year. But yeah, I'm involved kind of as an ad hoc member of their general committee as a section chair. So we try to, as the section chairs for Kentucky, both myself and Taylor, do some reach out to the students around graduation time and just do a lot of encouragement trying to get the students to join the Alumni Association. You really want to have that tunnel and that connection in with your section chairs, delivering news about the Bluegrass Alumni Association or your local alumni associations to try to feed people into it. We actually offered free membership for any graduating student last year. Just because of everything with COVID, we're not able to do quite as many things as we want. We do leadership series, usually on a monthly basis. There's a monthly leadership series that they do. And that's always really informative, and definitely really some like very professional people came and spoke. So some really cool stuff in that space. They've done some service as well virtually, and we've done like a NAMI walk for mental illness awareness. So lots of stuff happening. Not as much as we would like because of everything with COVID. We really like to meet up and actually gather together, but we know that we can't do that now, and that things are going to be like this for just a bit longer.
Yeah, for sure. The Central Ohio Association isn't super active. There are members and they do meet up occasionally, but we don't do a whole lot of formal events right now. We were going to hold one in the spring for graduating seniors, and of course, with everything going on, that didn't happen. So hopefully the Alumni Association will find a way to kind of host some virtual events this spring to kind of help get a few more students involved as well. Kind of like Evan was saying, it's a lot harder to plan some virtual events when we, just like the students, also really want to get to see each other in person, and just know that that's not really an option for us right now. Okay. So that is just some of the ways to get involved as an alumni. Like I said, there are so many ways to get involved, and there's so much opportunities out there. So if you still need more information about various opportunities, you can always talk to other alumni, reach out to your advisors, your section chair, region chair, other people in your area or alumni of your chapter, and ask them what opportunities are out there, what they think you might be good at, or what roles are out there for you specifically. You can attend a region volunteer conference, which you are doing right now, but it is a virtual one. So I do definitely recommend attending an in-person one as soon as we can host one again. They're a lot of fun. They're a great way to meet new people. Down here, there's a few pictures of the region volunteer conference that we had last year in Indy. there we got to do a nice little dinner at the spaghetti factory, and one of the fellowship events we did was a brew bus tour where we got to go to 4 different breweries in the area, and get a few samples of stuff. So that was a really great way to get to know each other. I will say that region volunteer conferences tend to be a little bit more fellowship based usually, where we can get to spend some more time getting to know each other and bouncing ideas off of each other. So that's definitely a great way to go and learn from more people. And this is like a little plug in there for students and other alumni as well. If you graduate and you realize you want to be involved, but you haven't been recently, please come back. Please reach out to somebody, and we'll get you connected to the right people. I think that there's a lot of people who, when you graduate, you need to step back and take a break, which is totally understandable. It's exactly what I did. But don't be afraid to come back just because you took a break. I took a break after graduation for about 6 months, and I was like, man, I really miss APO. And I reached out to Brittany, and now I'm serving as section chair. So there's definitely so many ways to get involved. So please don't be afraid to come back and reach out to us. We would absolutely love to have you back. And there's always an opportunity for everybody. No matter what your interests are, we will find a great position for you to serve in, and a way for you to help these students grow and prosper in their learning. And of course, a way for you to get to know other alumni and get to work with us too. And then if you're moving to a new area, that doesn't matter. You can still get involved. So still reach out to alumni in your section, through the section and region. We have connections with everybody all over the country. We can definitely get you in touch with somebody where you're moving, through the local section and region chairs, chapter advisors, or alumni associations. We have great connections all over the nation and can definitely get you there. I know I get messages pretty often from section chairs when people are moving to the central Ohio area, and they're like, hey, I've got this student moving and she might want to get involved eventually. Here's her contact information. So definitely don't be afraid to still let us know. And we'll get you in touch with the right people. That way you can continue to get involved post-graduation and not be nervous that you don't know anybody there or anything like that. Okay. Are there any questions from anybody or any students on the call that are willing to share what their interests are and maybe what they're looking at doing post-graduation? Caleb is trying to put me on the spot because I have several section staff members on the call. That's not fair. Okay, well, if there's no questions, I did put my information, my email down there on the bottom. You can just email me at the Section H6 chair, and I will definitely get back to you with any other with any of your questions. And hopefully this will be a great resource for you to share with your students, and continue to get them involved post-graduation. I really want to see a lot more people get involved. Yes, see, persistence is key. So Deidre kept getting bombarded by Brittany, who was really great at that, and continuing to get involved. So if you guys have a student that you feel like would be a great alumni volunteer, definitely continue to bother them about it. And if you know that they're moving, still give their information along anyway, and get that going, because like I said, a lot of us may not be wanting to get involved right away after graduation, but that doesn't mean we never want to be involved. A lot of people still want to share their experiences with their brothers of Alpha Phi Omega and continue to provide back to those students, as many alumni did for them. So definitely, for sure, continue to stay involved, please. And I'm so excited to see all the opportunities that continue to present itself for our soon-to-be alumni and graduates of the chapters in Region H. All right, thanks everybody for getting on. like I said, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me or send me a message throughout the day. Or I'll be on here, all day today and tomorrow. So feel free to send me a private message on any of those as well. All right, I think we're going into a lunch break. So there's not another webinar until 1. Please enjoy that, and we will see you guys then.